Hello, I'm Daniela Leon, the young ambassador in Inspiring Switzerland. We are continuing with the series Inspiring Interviews, where I interview role models in various fields to showcase as many career options available as possible to us young girls. Today I'm here with Barbara Frey. Hello, Barbara, how are you?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm good.
Could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Barbara. I am 50 years old. I work for a company, for a big publishing house in Germany, in Berlin. It's called Funke Media, and I work for a department who is mainly doing tasks in the area of video distribution and video collection. So everything that has to do with moving image, be it for the portal of a website of our publishing house, or be it for a big platform that we are cooperating with. I'm helping to gather and organize and publish video content. Next to this, I'm a mother. I have a 10 years old son, and in my free time, I like to teach yoga.
And since you do so much, what did you want to be when you were my age?
I wanted to be a bookseller, actually, and I managed to become a bookseller. I was a bookseller for about 10 years. I changed the bookshop like 3 or 4 times I worked for. So I worked for a standard bookshop, I worked for a comics bookshop, I worked at the university's bookshop. I had several tasks, and I was always very happy with this profession. Actually, I had a short crisis in these 10 years when I did sort of an apprenticeship in a Montessori kindergarten, and I worked with children for a year, and then I went back into selling books. And then after 10 years, I had a friend asking me if I would be interested to join his team, his business consulting team, who was doing consulting for the Swiss airline at this time. And he asked me if I want to join his team as an assistant to do something completely different. And I said yes, because I wanted to do something completely different. And that led me in a complete different world. And from this, in another world. So now I'm basically back to a publishing house, which is not that far away from where I started, but it's a different area. Yeah.
And when did you realize you wanted to now go back to publishing and not be that far from where you started?
Actually, every decision in my professional life came more from outside, or from opportunities, or from circumstances. And I joined the company I'm working with now 10 years ago. And at this time, it was a small team who did a lot of research of development in the area of video. And when I joined this former company, who was then sold to the company I'm working for now, it was a small team. And the main reason why I joined this company was because I wanted to work in Berlin, and I had a friend who worked at this company. And I was hired as a marketing manager, but I never really had marketing tasks, because it was like a startup situation. So everybody had to be able to cope with the startup situation, with not a lot of structure, with a lot of change, because when you are in a technical environment, things change very fast all the time, because there is a lot of development and a lot of new opportunities, hopefully. So I kind of grew with the tasks I got, and grew into this company and into this field. The fact that I'm now back in a publishing house is really nice, because I have the opportunity to bring together the video and the print area. When we, for example, produce, or when we work together with someone who produces video, let's say in the area of cooking, I can go to one of our journals, who is a cooking journal, and say, let's do a print article and also produce a video. And the video is going to be shown online and on TV, and at the same time we have a print article. So I love to bring together these different words and media forms.
And would you say that you have taken all opportunities that have come your way?
Yes, I would say that. I am someone who is taking very spontaneous decisions in life, sometimes too fast, and sometimes it's perfect. I think the most courageous decision was to go and work in Malaysia. When I had joined this business consulting team, then I moved from Bern. I grew up in Bern. I worked as a bookseller in Bern for 10 years. And when I was asked to join this business consulting team, I had to move to Zurich. And I found myself in the airline industry, but the company I was working for was doing technical solutions for the airline industry. So it was a lot of new things and new wordings and a complete new world. And after a very short time, I was asked to join a team who went to Kuala Lumpur to, do a business development there. And I said yes, because I always loved Asia and I wanted to work abroad. And of course, it was a big challenge, but also, a time I would never want to miss. So I learned a lot, and I made very good friends in Asia, with whom I am still in contact today, and that was 20 years ago.
And did you need a lot of languages to do all that?
No, I learned, because I was in an international field, English was always like a second language, and I read and I watch movies in English, so sometimes I don't even realize anymore that whether I'm watching a movie in English or in German. So English is like my second language. Meanwhile, I speak pretty well French and Italian because I am from Switzerland, and it's normal to learn these languages, and if you're lucky, you also get to practice them. For the jobs I did, it was always German and English that were important, even in Asia, especially in Malaysia. Because you have Indian people, you have Chinese people, and you have Malay people, and they also choose to speak English together. So because it's the most simple to work cross culture. So I didn't have the opportunities, but also I didn't have to learn one of these languages when I was there. For my daily life now, it is more that I would love to speak perfect German, because the Germans still notice very fast that I'm a Swiss. When I start talking, they're like, "Oh, you're from Switzerland." And I'm like, I'm trying to speak proper German for 10 years now, but I never manage because you can hear the Swiss dialect.
Yeah, I know that. With the Swiss and German, I have lived in Germany, so I speak pretty mixed from both, because here they know right away that you're from Germany.
Yeah. So, 2 words and they're like, "Oh, you're from Switzerland."
Yeah. And they change to German, and you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
In your introduction, you have mentioned that you have a child and you're also a yoga teacher. How do you manage to keep all that in balance?
I have to say I have a child who is not very complicated and a very easy to live with child. So it's my son. His name is Per. He's very independent, and he has a lot of own projects, and he has a lot of friends. So and we have the fact that his school is very close to from where we live, and we have very good how do we call it, like childcare. He had always childcare places where he could go. So I had a lot of help from this side, because my parents, they still live in Bern, and it's not possible for them to spend a lot of time in Zurich, and his other grandparents are in Germany even. So I live separated from his father, so he spent some time as his father and some time at my place, and he's sometimes still in daycare, and especially in the last 2-3 years, when I always had the opportunity to work from home, even before Corona, when home office was a bit special to many Swiss companies, I could work from home because I had my company in Berlin. So I was often in Berlin, but when I was here in Switzerland, I was home all day long, which also helps to balance all the things. And with the yoga teaching, I teach at lunchtime, for example, and my son eats in the school, so I use my lunchtime to teach, or the early mornings, and I find a balance with this that also gives me a good break between sitting at the computer all the time.
And you work from home, so how do you keep your personal time or space separate from the work?
That's a very good question, and this is very difficult. So I see that I spend a lot of that. It's difficult to draw the line between personal life and work. I often continue to work in the later evening because I want to finish something. So it's not like if you have a job and you work, let's say if I would be still working in a bookshop, I would go home when the bookshop closes, and then my work would be done, and then I start again the next morning. When you work with your laptop at home and you have maybe people who work late and they still send you emails, you really have to learn to draw the line and say, now it's time for my family or for my private life, and then I go back to work. So that's quite a challenge. It's a very good question. I try.
Yes. And what advice would you give girls that want to have the courage to take as many opportunities that come their way?
I think it's important to make sure that the people you're going to work with are good people, that they are on your frequency, that you feel comfortable around them, that you, in the ideal case, you already feel that they're going to teach you something. But as long as you have this positive feeling with the people that give you the opportunities, you should you should try a lot, you should make a lot of experiences. And I always felt like, the worst case, you can go back home, or you can stop a job, or you can, you can go back, but I think it would be worse having the feeling I didn't try. So yes, go out there and try new things and dare to be the beginner. That's also, I think, a very important experience. It's not always easy, because I know this because I changed from selling books to going into the airline industry, to going into technical development. I went into airline duty-free business. I went into marketing for luxury brands, and then I went to this technical research and development company. And so I had to learn new vocabularies and new themes and new concepts and processes all the time. But I also realized that I think a lot of things have to do with common sense. So, you learn something new, but you can also go back to what you experienced and learned before and put it back in the place when you have understood some concepts maybe. And I think the more different fields you experience, the more you can rely on your knowledge that you gathered. And it's always good to have a a wide field of environments to also find out what you really like.
Well, thank you so much, Barbara, for being here today. I really like the interview. I think I will want to take all the opportunities that come my way.
Yes, do that. I can see it in your eyes that you're going to take a lot of opportunities. I'm sure about that. Cool. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here.